Life is full of unpredictable moments, and one of the most common experiences we all face is sickness. Whether it's the flu, a cold, or the dreaded stomach bug, sickness seems to be a part of human existence. It often strikes when we least expect it and can make even the most minor tasks feel overwhelming. But imagine the discomfort of sickness affecting someone who has the power to heal and even control nature itself. Would Jesus, the Son of God, ever experience something so human as being sick? Did he ever suffer from the flu, a cold, or any other physical ailment? It's a question that seems simple yet profoundly intriguing. The human side of Jesus. When discussing whether Jesus ever got sick, we must first recognize that he was fully human. The doctrine of the Incarnation teaches that Jesus, while remaining fully divine, became fully human. He was born to Mary, lived in a physical body, and experienced life as we do. He felt hunger, thirst, fatigue, and sorrow, emotions and experiences that mark our own existence. The Bible speaks clearly about his humanity. He was weary after traveling. John chapter 4 verses 6. Experienced sorrow. John chapter 11 verses 35. And even needed rest. Mark chapter 4 verses 38. If Jesus was fully human, it would only make sense that he might experience the common ailments that humans face. Jesus was not a detached deity who floated above human struggles. He was deeply involved in the daily realities of human life. His physical needs, such as eating and sleeping, were not just symbolic but real. If he was truly human, the possibility of illness, whether a cold, a headache, or something more severe, must have been a natural aspect of his life on earth. The divinity of Jesus and its implications. However, the story doesn't end with Jesus being fully human. Jesus was also fully divine. The Bible consistently affirms that Jesus was God in the flesh. He was not merely a human being with divine attributes, but fully God and fully man. This presents a unique challenge when considering whether Jesus could have gotten sick. As God, he possessed the power over illness and disease. If Jesus was truly divine, would he have been immune to sickness in the same way he had power over nature, sin, and death? From a theological perspective, the divinity of Jesus suggests that he was not bound by the same physical limitations as the rest of us. If he could heal the sick, perform miracles, and even raise the dead, could he have allowed himself to experience the physical vulnerability of sickness? The question becomes less about whether he could have been sick and more about whether he chose to be. Did Jesus ever suffer from illness? The Bible does not directly record any instance of Jesus suffering from a physical illness. There are no stories where Jesus is described as bedridden with a fever or sneezing through a cold. In fact, the New Testament focuses more on his power to heal others rather than suffering from illness himself. Jesus healed the blind, the lame, the sick, and even those with leprosy, a highly contagious and often fatal disease. Yet he never appears to be affected by these diseases, even when in close contact with those suffering from them. This absence of sickness in the narrative is often used as evidence that Jesus did not experience illness. After all, as God incarnate, why would he allow himself to be subject to the same physical limitations that we experience? Some theologians argue that because sickness is a result of the fallen state of humanity, and Jesus was not affected by sin, it would make sense that he did not get sick. The connection between sin and sickness. One of the most compelling arguments against the idea of Jesus getting sick lies in the concept of original sin. The Bible teaches that all of humanity is affected by sin, and with sin came death and disease. Romans 6:23 says, "The wages of sin is death." And many theologians believe that sickness is a result of sin's entrance into the world. If Jesus was sinless and born without the stain of original sin, could he then be susceptible to illness? Jesus, being the perfect Son of God, would not have inherited the sinful nature that causes sickness. As a result, many believe that he would not have been vulnerable to illness in the same way that the rest of humanity is. After all, Jesus was the perfect sacrifice for humanity, untouched by the effects of sin. His body, in this view, would have been immune to the diseases that we experience. The mystery of Jesus' humanity. However, while we can debate the implications of Jesus' divinity and sinlessness, the reality is that his full humanity is essential to understanding his life and ministry. Jesus was not a distant observer of human suffering. He was a participant. He chose to experience the full range of human life, including suffering. It is important to remember that Jesus did not come to earth as a perfect, untouchable figure. Instead, he came as one of us, embracing the hardships and pains of our existence. In light of this, it's possible that Jesus, while never recorded as being sick, could have experienced illness in some form. We may never know the full extent of his physical experiences, but his humanity meant he understood human pain. Whether he experienced sickness or not, he could empathize with those who did. The purpose of Jesus' humanity. Why would Jesus, the Son of God, choose to fully embrace humanity? The purpose, according to the Bible, was to become the perfect mediator between God and man. Jesus needed to understand human suffering so that he could redeem it. The fact that Jesus experienced fatigue, hunger, and even death shows his deep identification with us. In Hebrews chapter 4 verses 15, the Bible affirms that Jesus was tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. Jesus' life on earth was a life of solidarity with humanity. He did not remain distant or aloof from the struggles of human existence. He entered into them. Even if Jesus didn't experience illness in the way we do, his willingness to experience all of human life, including suffering, allows him to be the perfect Savior. His experience of human pain, sorrow, and death demonstrates his profound compassion for us. Theological perspectives on Jesus' suffering. Some theologians argue that Jesus' suffering was not limited to physical ailments, but extended to emotional and spiritual suffering. As the Bible records, Jesus experienced deep sorrow and anguish, especially leading up to his crucifixion. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he prayed with such intensity that his sweat was like drops of blood. Luke chapter 22 verses 44. This emotional and spiritual anguish was a part of his suffering, but it was also part of his identification with humanity. Jesus did not live a painless, trouble-free life. He faced the burdens and struggles of the world, even if they were not always the same struggles we face. The hypothetical nature of Jesus' illness. Ultimately, we have to accept that the Bible does not explicitly address whether Jesus ever got sick. We can only speculate based on what we know of his life and ministry. The possibility that he could have gotten sick is rooted in his humanity. However, the possibility that he did not, due to his divine nature, is also plausible. What we do know is that Jesus fully embraced human life, including its trials and tribulations, so that he could redeem it. Regardless of whether Jesus ever caught a cold or suffered from a stomach bug, the most important point remains clear. He understands us. He is not a distant deity who cannot relate to our pain and struggles. He is a Savior who walked through this life with us and for us. His experience of suffering, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, qualifies him to be the perfect Savior. And there you have it, folks. Whether or not Jesus ever got sick, his empathy and understanding of our struggles remain undeniable. If this video helped you think a little deeper about his humanity, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more engaging discussions, and share this with someone who needs a little reminder of how Jesus understands what we go through. Stay blessed, and see you in the next one.